So here we are in the shed of hopeless optimism. I'm using the handheld GoPro because I've yet to attach the tripod mount. So what we're on with today? All three motorcycles. That one is a motorcycle. Alright, it's not a scooter. Alright, yeah. Right, that's that sorted. All three require jobs doing, a little maintenance. Nibbler's oil leak. I've got the original Kawasaki bolt and washers for the oil cooler, just in case there was an imperfect sealing surface. Basically, I've re-annealed the washers and it's still leaking, bottom of the union. So I bought a new bolt and I've bought new sealing washers. And I've just bought from Merlin Motorsport a kit to make up a better oil line than what I've put on, because I used part of the old Kawasaki hard line, which of course blew the rubber bit off, which was quite surprising because it was a tight fit and it had a clamp on it and it still managed to blow it off. There was no restriction in the cooler, so you know, and the crankcase breather's working and all that lot, so there's no pressure build up in the crank. Anyway, nibbler, I have ordered from Wamoto fork seals and bushings, because as you know those fork seals aren't very old and both of them have gone, so it's time to replace the bushings. I had a GPZ 900 that used to do fork seals about every other month until I did the bushings. Should have done them when I last stripped the forks, let's be honest. So that's jobs on nibbler, and then we'll see how he gets on to the next disaster. Pinky requires some adjustment before I want to take him for an MOT. Namely, I went over this before, didn't I? Throttle play adjustment, which has got to be done at the carbs. I've got to nip the head bearings up. The wheels have got to come off for new tyres. They have been ordered from Wamoto again, but there's about a week's wait on those. So probably Nibbler's parts and Pinky's parts, hand gestures, will come together, which is okay because it will give me something to crack at. Phyllis now has a cone air filter for 27.6 extra horsepowers, and obviously I've got a crankcase ventilation pipe, which is not blowing in the wind. And usually when the bike's just running and idling and stuff like that, it's just air coming out of the crankcase. It's quite good actually. You can blow a balloon up with it, but as you're going along you get a bit of oil mist and what have you, which normally goes into the airbox. It is a sound idea, because I suppose if it's going in the airbox then it's going in the intake, and it, in theory, would partially lubricate the valve stems, etc. But what I've got instead, because I think it looks untidy, is what I'm going to do now is strip the bodywork off Phyllis, because I want to do some sort of pre-winter maintenance, and you know, get down to the frame and get some of that stuff on it. ACF 50, possibly the best anti-corrosion that's about for motorcycles, at least. Used to use them on rotor blades to show the cracks up, because it's per purple and it creeps in everywhere. Used to spray it on aluminium rotor blades, and it used to show all the hairline cracks up, so you knew when to replace the blades. A little bit of information you probably didn't know before, but you do now thanks to your Uncle Jimmy. Anyway, fuck off. I've got this little thing so I can delete the pipe. It's a crankcase filter basically, and it will just make it neat. I did have an evil idea the other day to completely strip Phyllis down to a bare frame and ride it round a bit like a bare frame jobby. But you know my history of customising motorcycles, probably not a good idea. So we're going to get Phyllis in and we're going to strip the bodywork off. Oh yeah, there's going to be a montage. Wrong button. Well, there we go. Bodywork off. And only a matter of all these fasteners and some more the other side. Anyway, this is the crankcase breather hose, which is no longer required. Nip it off there, put a filter on. but it's a good chance to just check everything over. It's all going to get a good spray of GT85 and a wipe over. Fuel filter here is looking a bit crusty, as are some of the fuel unions. Yes, so we'll sort those out. Because it's fuel injection, it has a fuel return. So, and I think this is the feed. There's a very small filter in this pipe, which is at the base of the tank. So obviously the tank needs completely draining if you do any work, which then goes into a secondary filter. And goes through this. I think this one's the engine feed. That is the return line that's coming back, I do believe, and that goes into, I'm guessing it's sort of like a return hose, breather hose, cum everything. So yeah, bit of a complicated system, not as easy as carb. I mean, if it was carb, you could block all that return system up and just have the feed coming through. But what I was thinking of doing is, if I can, get like a 3-way T. This filter, just this one here, is something like 150 quid. Like, fuck me. So I'm thinking, if I can get like a 3-way T piece, or even, yeah, well, it's going to have to be a 3-way because there's a return line, the feed line, and an exit line. But if I could just put just a normal T piece in there and then just put a normal filter in, an easily serviceable filter in, that'll make life a lot easier for the future. The in-tank filters, apparently it sits in there, sits in here. So at one point I'm going to have to drain the tank and have a look at that, because that one's 40 quid. So if we can do away with that and just run probably a pair of filters, I think would be good. It would make future maintenance a lot easier, because I'm damned if I'm paying 150 quid for that filter just because it's got a special, you know, block in it. Just get a generic 3-way union or make something up and get rid. So yeah, so anyway, what's the rest of it looking like? That's the engine. Yeah, it's looking alright. I have got a very slight oil leak from the bottom tappet cover. That's the top one, obviously. But while I'm here, I can actually ensure that I've got a digital RPM meter which just goes around the HT lead and just make sure it's idling at the correct speed while I've got access to the idler screw, and just make sure that the clutch is locking up at the correct revs, etc. But yes, probably clean all this up as well. So that's my job for today. I'm going to crack on for a bit, then I'll bring you back. I'm dirty already. Right, all the frame is ACF 50'd, nice. Crankcase breather, cable tied out the way. Heat shield put back on the fuel injector. Bottom doodah cover, valve cover resealed. And now we're ready to just throw the bodywork back on. So, are you ready? One. Oh, this is not going to work unless it's on a tripod. I was going to do one of those magic, and the bodywork was there, but it's not going to work, is it? Because I won't be able to get the same camera position. Anyway, fuck it. Well, update. It's all going well, rather swimmingly, and going back rather swimmingly. I've even managed to split the cowling, which has made putting it back together a lot easier. There was a rusted bolt in there, and I managed to get some lubricant on it and then back it out from behind with the mole grips. Another job I'm going to do when I've got Pinky sorted is I have got new pistons and seals for this caliper here, and I shall put them on, and then it's good then. I know it's good. So yeah, so it's all going swimmingly well. In fact, I haven't said fuck once. Yeah. So yes, more than happy. That's routed out the way nicely. So that's not in the way of the cowling or anything. Nice. Yes. There's the other cowling. A good group on Facebook, this, if you're into little bikes. Great fun on small bikes, and it's amazing to see some of the adventures some of the guys have on Honda Waves and C90s and stuff like that. Like, literally, they'll go from the Midlands and they'll go and do the North Coast 500, or one of them has just been, I think it's Switzerland. I think he's gone and done the passes in Switzerland on a tiddler like this, you know, with camping gear. I mean, it could be done. I've been very tempted to take this up to Scotland. Watch this stupid space. Yes. Soggy. Always a joy to dry up soaking wet motorcycling equipment. Come on now, you fat oaf. Hello, people. Well, as you can see from that video, Phyllis has had a fettling. It's actually about 7 in the morning the following day. It's now Saturday, and I test rode Phyllis by taking her to work because I'd got a motorcycle to do, and it was it was the new Triumph Speed 400, which I'm sure you've seen pictures of in the bike mags and stuff like that. And never ridden one before. I've seen them, the prototypes going around, running them in and stuff like that. Stop shaking your leg, and what have you. But I rode one yesterday, and I was always a big fan of the Enfield 350s, the Meteor and all that lot. As soon as I swung a leg over one of them, I liked it because I like to bimble. You know, it's all very well going fast and all that lot, but it's getting dodgier and dodgier to go quick on the road. But the amount of traffic and morons about, I am utterly convinced that nobody these days reads or understands the highway code or understands even what the laws are. I just think people just get in and go. People have got no lane discipline, they don't use the turn signals, they don't look out for anybody else but themselves. And I've said this before in videos, when we're out in test vehicles, especially on the road, you're driving for everybody else out on the road because nobody's got a clue. Times, even on test bikes, we've nearly been swiped because somebody's too busy looking at the phone or just not paying attention. It's aggravating. So I do like a bimble now because your survival odds increase greatly, basically. But yeah, lovely little thing, really sweet, dead light and nimble. Engine's a bit vibey, but it feels like a big 125, you know, sort of weight wise and all that lot, and even power wise. I don't know what market spec this bike was, but to be honest, Phyllis didn't feel any slower going home. Got to do a bit of work on Phyllis. I did notice yesterday, going to work, seemed to be lacking power, so that's odd. Turned out the back brake was stuck, so I'm going to have a look at that. But the shaft that the back brake lever sits on, I think I've tried to take it out before and it's seized in, because it's probably another alloy on steel job. I can get lubrication in there and it stays alright for a few weeks, but the return spring, there's definitely something sticking in the shaft. The return spring is not doing what it should, and it is strong enough to do the job. So at some point, now we have a good impact tools and stuff like that, I might try and get that shaft out, clean it up, grease it up properly. Also at some point I'm going to put the new piston kits in Phyllis as well. Anyway, it's Saturday morning today, and if the Royal Mail are to be believed, the kit from Nibbler's oil line is coming today. I've ordered the oil line, something like Gates hose, and 2 fittings from Merlin Motorsports again, because I know they work, I know they fit. So I can make up an oil line that goes without using any of the old hard line, so it would just be sort of one piece. So that should be better, and that should be Nibbler fixed for now. I think I have made the decision. Yes, Jim, you're good at making decisions, aren't you? No, cabbages, squirrels. I've seen a lot of early ZX10s with sort of just a top fairing conversion, because my belly pan just does not fit. It never has fitted well, and I'm fed up messing around with it. So I think I'm going to delete the belly pan, delete the side panels from the main fairing, and what you do, you just trim the top fairing, you trim the down bits off the fairing, and then get a little bracket made up just to attach the top fairing to the frame, just a little triangular bit, and just like pop rivet onto the fairing or something like that. And I've seen quite a few done like that, and they look quite smart actually. You're still going to get the screen protection and all that lot. So that's the road I might go down. I don't know yet, or I might see. I tried to fit Zeus fasteners to the belly pan, and they all lined up when I put them on and all this lot, but mated up to the other bits of bodywork. It's just a faff, and it's a hassle, and I'm fed up with it. So I think I'm just going to delete it, just delete the belly pan and all that lot. You can get the bodywork new actually from Kawasaki if you want to pay thousands of pounds, which I don't. So anyway, yes, Phyllis's test ride, get back to the point, Jim. Was there a point? No. Was going to work. So that was it. That's all done. So the job today is, depending on what time the hose comes, is over this weekend. I will make that hose up, and if the weather's alright, we'll take Nibbler out for a run, strap a camera to my face and see what happens. I don't know whether anybody's out Sunday of our lot. No idea. I was going to go in and do a bike Sunday, but I ended up doing it yesterday, and it was alright, but I got slightly moist. Oh dear. Anyway, it's coffee time. So yes, so if I do a bit more filming, I'll put that up later this weekend, but for now, this is your public service announcement.